access completely from cool vibes or deny access completely to the from the double bars. So this could be a run and gun versus trap meta, or a run and gun with a heavy frag grenades and explosives utility usage versus intel denial meta. So it's more of extremes that we're operating here, because trap meta is a characteristic of year two, if my memory serves me well, and the intel denial meta is a characteristic of year 4 to year 5. So it's a trip down memory lane versus the modern age that we might be seeing over here.
Absolutely, and I'm really looking forward to the map, because there's a lot of different things teams need to do in order to take over certain bomb sites. On the kitchen supply defense, the defenders really need to keep control of main lobby and having a roamer upstairs in order to prevent that vertical play, while the attack really need to focus on pushing cool vibes and getting that main lobby control in order to collapse in on the defense. I'm really excited to see how this map plays out. A lot of teams can play it a lot of different ways. There's no ABC style to taking any of the bomb sites like you'd see on Oregon or seeing on Clubhouse. So it's going to be a very good match for the day.
Something that we might expect is if we have if APAC League, North APAC League is a benchmark in a way, where we did notice a lot of Dokkaebi being played. So Dokkaebi typically brings the DMR, and her strength is in the engagement from distance, while providing passive or active support in the form of her calls. So in her logic bomb, if the word is correct.
Okay.
There. So we have Coastline having that massive skylight. It's a rather controversial thing. That skylight can be a massive disadvantage in attack's favor or in defense's favor. Say, for instance, if attack is pushing the double bars or the kitchen site, defense can capitalize on the skylight very well. But if attack is pushing, say, hookah, that's attack's advantage to use over there. So we could see Dokkaebi being played here. She definitely helps out with the hatches thanks to her DMR. So that's something to look out for. We could see some unconventional ops being brought today.
Absolutely, and definitely one of the bigger things is with this map, you don't have to bring a hard breacher, so we can see more unique operator lineups, especially with that coming in. We won't necessarily need to see a Thatcher or need to see a Thermite. So continue.
Yeah. So rightly said there that the hard breaches not being a requirement and Ace still being banned, you would see heavy. Maybe you could probably say Hibana would be brought in as an entry fragger and just a backup hard breacher in case there's a line of sight that needs to be made. But the rest of the investment would come in the form of explosives. You could see Iana bringing in for explosives, or you could see, if somebody wants to play sneaky like Aces from Rogue, you could see a Nook being brought in. Since she has frags, it can be beneficial. So looking forward to seeing what kind of any unconventional strategies being brought out as the players are loading into the lobby right now. We should be beginning anytime soon.
Yeah, all the players in the lobby. So we are going to be moving on now to our match of the day. It's going to be Roaring Tiger versus Divine Xylem on Coastline. So we're going to be moving on. We are going to be moving on to the map or the operator ban phase, and tell me what bands do you think are going to be coming in? I'm feeling a Montang ban on attack and possibly a Jackal ban, but because a lot of operator lineups don't require hard breachers, we could be seeing a few off meta bans coming in today.
That's right. We could. I mean, Thatcher ban's still on the table because he's still a pretty strong ban. So let's see how this goes. You are perfectly right. That is a Monty ban.
Montang is a very powerful operator on Coastline, especially when attacking the hookah bomb site. I also could see a Ying ban coming in here. An Ash ban.
Could this be a target ban? This could be interesting. It's either a utility removal because it's flashes and 2 explosives, or a target ban.
Absolutely, and I know that they still have Zofia on the board, so Ash kind of has that second counterpart. And as I say, that mirror comes off the board. We are seeing another mirror ban.
Mira is also pretty interesting because presence of Mira makes Penthouse viable. Penthouse is actually a very good site. But Mira does make that site relatively more viable. So I guess they want to remove one, maybe even reduce the strength of the kitchen and hookah sites significantly with that ban. And yes, we do have Echo, the typical ban, because he's still one of the better plant denial ops that you can find.
Absolutely. Mira does make that penthouse site more viable. Without Mira, the site does become a lot harder unless you want to hold VIP hallway at 90 and open up that wall into VIP. But even then, a lot of teams do struggle doing that because of the cross angle coming from the back staircase in Zulu. We Yeah, so we are going to be moving on to our first site as being kitchen service, and with Echo being off the board, a lot of teams will not have that plant now, and it looks like you were right on the money there, Forge. Even though they had 6 picked off of it, they did bait that Capcan, which is a very, very interesting pick coming in, especially with an IQ on the board, which might be why they had 6 pick off of him. Moving on to a Vigil.
That is slightly contradictory over there, because they six picked off a Capcan onto a Vigil, and IQ is in a way a hard counter to Vigil. So we could see things go two ways. You could have Vigil trying to do a major drone denial for the vertical play, because kitchen side is heavily affected by how well attackers take the lounge and the penthouse sites on top. So Vigil being played there could be one of the strategies, but IQ in the equation makes Vigil's job a lot harder. So we could be seeing a two-man two-man roam, a two-man offside hold vertically from here with Vigil involving maybe a bandit over there.
And that looks like what we're going to be getting. Vigil's going to be roaming upstairs above the bomb site, and you wanna make it hard for the attackers to get vertical control over kitchen. And I gotta say, it's very interesting where the defenders put up the reinforcements. They aren't looking to hold main lobby. They seem to have placed it on those first 2 panels in kitchen going from main lobby, and they reinforced off supply, so they don't have that rotate out of there. So it looks like they are going to be going for more of a turtle, more of a ranked style defense. You see a lot of teams open up the supply closet wall closest to the door on long hallway and be able to rotate out and keep control of that main lobby and prevent the push from blue bar and sunrise. So moving on to the round, it looks like the attackers are trying to get early control over hookah and early control over sunrise to try and establish some vertical control, and to maybe establish and try and clear out those roamers to kind of collapse in on them. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so this looks like an elevation of the rank type file here, and you can see Vigil being pressured by 2 people here, so that's good. IQ is definitely giving in the information, but Vigil seems to be wasting a fair bit of time over here. And Vigil does eventually fall at the hands of the IQ, the G8 A1 doing a wonderful job there as expected. And now this is even despite 1 minute being wasted in taking out the Vigil, having your top floor control in the first 1 minute is still a lot better than typical, because now you have the entire top floor side under control. Penthouse 2 is under the control of Nomad, and thanks to the breach charges, there's a lot of vertical play potential that Roaring Tigers is getting now on this side, and we already have Maestro having lost a fair bit of health. So this is a good amount of pressure that's being put here, but they are starting to run out of time.
Absolutely, and something I do want to note is with the addition of that Nomad, the attackers have full top floor control. They have the Nomads on all of the staircases, so the defense won't be able to rotate on them. And they really are getting the control that they need, and making those holes on the top of that wall instead of footholes actually enables the attack more than it does enable the defense. And as I say that, Maestro took off the Nomad, not a crucial pick, and he is not traded out, but the Bandit in blue bar is immediately found out, and the attackers seem to be collapsing really quick on the defense. They have kitchen control right now.
Yep, and they're down to 3v1. So attacks definitely taking control, and they are pushing in for the plant. And before we know it, the round has been closed. Attackers taking the first round here. The IQ here definitely putting in a good amount of influence, taking out the vigil and pushing into sides. So you have IQ being played as a mix of an entry fragger and roam clear entry denial person. It's been a duo. It's been a dual entry roam clear that we have seen in the first round.
Absolutely, IQ does play a really good flex role, especially with her utility. If the because we still have a Valkyrie on the board, she would be able to spot some of those cams, and she did use her ability to directly counter the Vigil. That's how they got the early. That's how they got the early pick. And even though the Vigil had wasted a minute, they had full top floor control right after that, which was very impressive from the attacker side. And even with the 3-piece coming in with the G8A1, which is by far, I mean, it is arguably the best assault rifle in the game, minus the AK, or even though it's considered an LMG with the fast reload time, it is essentially an AR. And now we are seeing some Valkyrie play, but if the IQ is able to use her abilities, same way she did on Vigil, those cams might not be able to have as much of an impact as they might would have before.
Correct. So I guess now we would want to see if so we do have the Capcan coming in right here. So I'm guessing they would want to try to slow down an initial push, despite the IQ. Even when you do have an IQ on the board, you still have to stop, find out the Valcam or find out the Capcan trap, eliminate it, and then assist in the push. So they're trying to slow down this a fair bit here. We could also see a two-man roam up top because the Vigil was not able to have a solo hold in the previous round, so maybe we could see somebody assisting Vigil here, especially after Capcan having invested his utility. In my opinion, he should definitely go up and help in a two-man hold. So, but aside from the Valk here roaming in billiards, you could have another person assisting in the hold.
Absolutely, and I think it's very interesting for the I say interesting a lot, but I think it's interesting for Divine Xylem to bring a Valk, Capcan, and Legion, especially when IQ is on the board. Because IQ is a direct counter to all three of those operators. Definitely a very, very interesting decision to bring in. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this round goes off. We had a really quick pick initially on the Buck, and the defenders are really capitalizing right now. They're able to get that IQ off the board.
Okay, so the Sledge engaging head-on here, and Sledge does get it. So that's the Valve being refragged here. And that's the Aquarium control now in the hands of the attackers. So now they can start engaging the defenders head-on. I mean, at least vertically, you can have it. So Sledge is attempting to get a tight angle onto the kitchen side. Legion is probably attempting to lock down the cool vibe stairs.
Yeah, and it looks like the defenders were able to really adapt based off of what the attack did last time, and I gotta give them props to it. They rotated 2 people upstairs instead of just the Vigil, and they were able to get 2 picks off of it, the Buck and the IQ, which are 2 crucial picks, especially when you want to get vertical control. They still have that Sledge on the board, but Sledge is at about 10 HP. He's not going to be able to do much. One well-timed bullet could be the end of his life, and that's the end of the vertical play for them. He's opening up the billiards floor to try and flush out that Vigil, or not that Vigil, my apologies, the Legion, and he's not able to do a lot with that. And as I say that, 1 quick bullet takes him out, and that is a majority of the vertical play that the attackers can bring. It's now all on to the Zofia and the Nomad.
And interestingly, they even lost the frag. Sledge died while still having the 2 frags in his pocket. So that's utility and vertical play lost with still 1 minute to spare. So it's all up to the Nomad and the Zofia to handle the rest of the round. And we still have all of the Capcan traps in play, still have all the Legion mines in play, and we have a tight angle from the Zofia, from the Legion mines. As we speak, the round is pretty close by. The defense from Divine Xylem has equaled the score to 1-1.
Yeah, and I really got to give it up to the defense there. They saw what the attackers did last time, and they adapted based off of it. The attackers seemed a little bit surprised that they had as many people upstairs, and I think that that's due to a lack of drone work they had brought in. They had kind of assumed that, okay, they're more likely gonna 6-pick onto a Vigil and have a Vigil roaming upstairs. You saw the IQ scanning out for that, but the attackers really didn't expect them to switch it up as much as they had. And right now we are going to be seeing a Penthouse Theater hold, and I think that that's a very interesting choice. Hookah Pool is usually the go-to site on this map, and we've seen a kitchen defense twice already, and we're now going to be moving on to a Penthouse Theater, and especially without having that near on the board, I'm very interested to see how these defenders will be able to hold down the site.
Yeah, it's an odd decision over here because Penthouse is more often attacked from either the stairs, from the main stairs coming from the lobby, or from the bathroom hatch. Now, I know most people do get tunnel visioned in bathroom and trophy, but it's more often not a problem attacking. So even the Capcan is not the best option here. They don't have as much of trap utility here. They don't have Ella being brought, because Ella would have been very good to lock down the entire hallway, and neither do you have Valk to lock down the 90 hallway. So this is an interesting choice over here at Penthouse. Maybe Xylem wants to do a strat shuffle to throw off attack. So could be interesting to see what exactly they bring in here, because attack is bringing the standard lineup of operators that they previously brought in.
Yeah, I think they really are trying. To switch up how the defenders are going to be finding them out. And I really like the addition of Mozzie, because Mozzie is able to deny a lot of that drone work. So the attackers will be relying off of a lot less intel. And Mozzie's positioning right now in VIP Lounge is a little bit dangerous, especially with that window there. And if he gets droned out, he could easily get picked from the window. But the attackers don't seem to be pushing from that side of the map. It looks like they're really trying to get first floor control right now. And they're trying to bait out any of the defenders on that first floor, so that they can't have any last minute flanks coming up.
Correct. And I hope Unknown Error isn't suffering from any known or unknown errors here, because unfortunately we might have an issue there, because we seem to have the Unknown Error seems to be having a ping issue, and that's a problem because Nomad is off the board. But doesn't matter, I guess attack has already started equalizing the picks here in case the Nomad has to go offline. So the Zofia of Alda has taken the pick on Legion. So that's a pretty important pick that has gone off, because Legion has died in the first 1 minute while still having some of his traps. So that's you're already giving away a lot of map control with Legion having.
Yeah, and I really do think that that's a really good initial first pick, because Legion does get stronger as the rounds go on. Now you don't have to worry about as many traps, and the IQ is still on the board. So the IQ can still deny the traps that are there and not have to worry about any new ones. And there's a missed C4 right there from the mute, and he was very close to that sledge below.
And attack is already putting pressure on the hallway and on the side. And ooh, that was a very close try at taking out the IQ. IQ definitely has lost some health, but is still in the equation. She hasn't given up yet. But Sophia's on her rampage has already claimed the second life onto Mozzie. So that's some roaming potential lost from Mozzie. But the Jaeger claims the Capcan last too. And the Capcan trap gets the kill. So that's already 2 versus 3 over here. And there's 30 seconds left.
Yeah, we get to see the pick. We get to see a pick come off from the Capcan. That is not something you see a whole ton. And Capcan does have one of the best SMGs in the game, but is not able to win that gunfight against Zofia. That is the attackers winning that round. And I gotta say that the defense right now is doing very, very well. But the attackers were able to kind of push all of the defenders into the site. And they were able to capitalize off of it. Some errors on their part and some more aggressive peaks caused them to lose some of their lives. But I still have to hand it to the defenders. They did a great job at holding that site and being able to delay the attackers quite a bit. But that roam, that heavy clear from the attackers, and especially that lack of hard breacher. I know that I said that a hard breacher isn't necessary. A hard breacher opens up that site quite a bit, because there are 4 entries to the site If not, and two of them really are not as viable, the two of them being the bathroom drop and big window. So we are going to be seeing a Hibana played. I know that you had mentioned that Hibana could play more of a flex role, not playing a hard support, but really dumping her utility and becoming more of a frag op. So I will be expecting them to open up some more sight lines now. I think that they're adapting based off the defense in their attack last time, that they might need to bring some more utility in order to open up more of the sites.
Yeah, rightly said. So, the previous defense was definitely pretty good because they were still able to push attackers up until the last 20 seconds. The only issue was that attack was really good at counter-stratting. The moment they realized the pressure, the most of the pressure was off-site, say with the Mozzie, they were immediately able to change their strategy and make the Zofia push in to get that initial kill. The more map control you have, the better. And since Hookah, my mistake, since Penthouse is not something where you desperately need a lot of map control, the amount of vertical play that the Buck and Sledge were doing from below was sufficient to put a fair bit of pressure onto whoever's inside, especially the Capcan sitting in the corner of theater. So that closed the round pretty quickly. But regardless, you still had the Capcan. You still had the defense pushing all of the pressure onto attack to push them to the last 20 seconds. So that was still pretty good. And I'm guessing they're going to try to push the same strategy onto Hookah.
Yeah, we're looking at a pretty basic Hookah hold. You're able to have that smoke deny the plant behind pool, which is right behind the bomb site, known as default plant by a lot of people. And it looks like the attackers are trying to get vertical play from below, and the IQ, surprisingly, is still not in sight. It looks like we're going to be getting a vertical grenade right now to kind of push out any defenders holding Aquarium. The IQ is finally in, and she's able to use her gadget to get some of this utility from below, which is really a good use of IQ's gadgets.
No, while we're at it, Smoke seems to have lost 50% of his health, but quickly traded off with Jaeger having gotten the kill on Hibana. So we might have lost some entry flag potential, but I would say this isn't a major hindrance. You did lose a Hibana for 50% of Smoke's health, so we're yet to see how this would play out, but I still say attack has some bit of breathing room yet.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure if she had gotten off any of her ex-Kairos before dying. I believe she had gotten off one, but that is kind of a big pick for opening up that big wall into pool in order to see the defenders holding that large hallway and blue stairs. And as I say that, the Vigil had gotten a quick pick off onto the Sledge, and it looks like we have a quick reflag for their plant denial. Smoke had not gotten off any of that area denial, and the attackers had cleared out the roamers and are now pushing onto site. I believe Jaeger is the only roamer out there now. And as I say that, Jaeger's taken off the board, so now all you have are the Capcan and Valkyrie playing on site. And the IQ is not able to capitalize off that intel. And now it's going to be essentially a one-on-one versus the Zofia, and the Zofia comes out on top.
Remarkable 4K by the Zofia over here. I have to mention that because this Zofia, I believe, of the 4 rounds played so far, has gotten the opening pick on 3 of them. So we're seeing the very definition of an entry flag over here, and the Zofia is really assisting in getting the map control, counter-stratting. That's 9 kills in 4 rounds of just 1 death. So definitely doing a good job for Roaring Tigers over here.
Yeah, and I really got to give it up. I really got to give it up to the defense there. They were able to get those quick picks off, but as the round sort of tried to move on, they did get a little bit aggressive in how they wanted to hold the site. They really were getting aggressive in the roam, not understanding that the attackers were closing in on their position. They should have rotated more closer to site, and they really should have tried to keep that site control instead of leaving just the Capcan and the Valkyrie on site to hold off to 3 defenders pushing on. And the IQ did lose her life to a lost duel there as she tried to wide peek that Valkyrie, but I gotta give it up to the defense that round. They did a really good job of getting those early picks onto Decaps and Nano, and they were able to take that utility off the board, but with those 2 early picks, they weren't able to rotate back to site, and they did leave their team a little bit more in jeopardy because of that. We are seeing a kitchen defense again. Reminder, this is the one defense that Xylem had won, and it looks like they are going to be going for a very similar hold, but they're bringing newer operators onto the board. They're bringing on a castle, I'm assuming, to close off that kitchen window and to kind of limit where the attackers can push.
So finally, we're seeing a castle being brought into play. So we have a castle and a maestro. So the same setup that they used in the first round, but replacing. I don't exactly remember who it was, but the castle is. So I think it's the castle definitely is going to be a useful pick because now you'll be blocking off an entire line of sight from lobby, and you're also going to be limiting. You're going to be delaying time, delaying entry into kitchen service for attack, which is generally the default plant site. So this essentially forces attackers for a vertical play, but the vertical plays come out very quickly here. You've seen barely 30 seconds, and you're already seeing a fair amount of vertical pressure being applied from the sledge.
Yeah, and that's very interesting because
Boom,
and a
boom goes
quick
the dynamite.
to the sledge. That's very interesting because I was just going to say they did place all the cap cans on those castle barricades. I'm assuming in order to directly counter that sledge from hitting the castle barricades and moving in. And as I say that, Castle is off the board, but he did get his utility down, and he isn't one of those operators that you necessarily need throughout the round. His gun does bring another attacker on the board, but he doesn't apply as much of fragging potential as the rest of the defenders. Interesting choice to use the X-Kairos to open up that hatch, especially with breaching charges still here. The X-Kairos is being used now to open up more lines of sight, and it looks like the attackers are going for more of a vertical control. And as I say that, the Jaeger is off the board, unable to win that gunfight with the intel that they were above. He is going to lose his life.
I'd like to just draw some attention to the cap can. There was a good estimation onto where the sledge was because that was definitely an assumption. Once you open up the line of sight, you could go anywhere, and the cap can played that out very well in C4. And as we speak, the IQ doing her job fantastically over here, getting another pick onto. This is the maestro, so this is a very good pick. You no longer have the control of the evil eyes. You're just left at how much of at the position that they were previously. So attackers already put in a decisive amount of control in their hands now. And the Zof is already pushed in, so it's a 1v4. So it's all up to the cap can and his SMG. So we are yet to see how this plays out. Well, it's a close. Oh, unfortunately, it doesn't work out. Zofia takes the kill. Zofia is doing wonderful this time. Ida execute of the Zofia is playing out everything from the start to the end. Zofia is putting adequate pressure at every single point of the map, single-handedly, I would say, along with say X-Stat Sua, who was probably playing on the IQ the previous round. Both and IQ now were definitely doing very good, very systematic approach to taking off-site push and then moving on to site.
Yeah, Idea Execute has really stepped up for their team. I mean, 12-1, and we aren't even at halftime yet. And those picks from the Zofia really are opening up a lot for the attack. And I gotta say that that was a tough loss right there from the defense. I mean, Capcan had seen the head of Zofia right before getting hit by the cross angle, and I really do feel bad for that Mute. Mute had heard the drop and heard the come in from bathroom, and as they had heard the come in from bathroom, had seen the people pushing from service and wasn't able to get the pick off there. The attack really is doing a good job at fragging out, and I mean, this is one of those maps that you can either go at it with a lot of strategy or you could go at it more run and gun, get your control and move forward. And the Zofia has really just decided to gun out, and it looks like we are going to be seeing two G8A1s, the 6th pick onto that Amaru, and I'm interested to see how the Amaru plays. They are going for a first floor defense. We are seeing, instead of the castle, the use of an alibi. We still are seeing that Capcan, and that Capcan has not had a bunch of picks, but has been able to, a lot of the traps have been able to clear some health from the attackers.
So let's see how this eating goes on over here. Is he going to be eating himself into penthouse, because that will be the most obvious approach here. So because if I'm assuming the Amaru has brought in the Amaru's in, and that's a pick. Yep, he did eat himself into penthouse and has already pushed in and is already down. So this is a rush. This is a full blown rush that we're seeing here. Unfortunately, it's killed off. Well, that's sad. I actually want to see more, but I guess that's enough taste of it here. Doesn't matter. It's been instantly refragged by the Zofia.
Yeah, and I really got to say that's a good pick from the Amaru. The trade on Legion for an Amaru, definitely a good pick, and a second pick coming in from the Zofia, absolutely tearing up this match so far. And we are seeing the C4 coming from below. I do not think that'll be successful. It is not. It is just opening up more lines of sight for the attack. They are able to get this vertical control now, and there is no C4, nothing to deny them from above, other than trying to win those heads-up gunfights. And it looks like with their two top fraggers still on the board, Zofia and IQ might be able to really control this round. And going into halftime, it's looking based on the control they have right now. It looks like we're going to be going into a 5-1 halftime. I really want to see what the defenders can bring forward moving on to the rest of this round. But losing that Legion early does deny a lot of your intel. And we have the Zofia peeking right now, moving into bathroom, and there is a line of sight on him.
Oh, but the dog loses the fight. Oh, and before you know it, so does the Capcan. Attack takes the 5-1 lead going into the switch, and Roaring Tigers clearly dominant in this game, absolutely leaving no room for Divine Asylum for any counter strategy.
Yeah, and I really do have to point out, I believe it was 3 of those rounds there, the defense had the opening pick. They were able to get the first man off the board, but that last round, they had the Amaru just rush on in, get the Legion that they knew was roaming upstairs, and that is a bunch of intel denied. That is a majority of his Legion traps, because he was gone in the first 20 seconds of the round.
And which just confused me. Why was the Legion on top? Legion is somebody you typically want on site or in a soft roam. Risking so much of that utility early on in the round definitely does not play well in defense's favor. So I would say more of Amaru getting the early on pick. You have the Legion losing himself early on for no reason. Or maybe that's just my extreme analysis, but I would say the defense did not calculate that very well.
So I'll actually disagree there. I think Legion does play really well with a soft roam approach. He wasn't roaming deep off site, but he was roaming above the site. And I think that the error that the defense had there was you don't want the Legion roaming alone. You want to be able to have refragging potential. Legion does have a very good SMG, and if you are able to place a lot of those traps, especially knowing where the attackers are going to push from, having that intel, knowing that they are going to push upstairs, would be able to enable another roamer with more fragging potential, like a Jaeger or a Vigil. That usually is where you will see the Legion come in. And moving on to this round, it looks like the attackers are going to 6-pick off the Clash onto that Mozzie, maybe to deny some of that intel from the attackers. And it looks like we are going to be seeing Dia execute onto the Jaeger. And it looks like we're going to be seeing a spawn peek come from this dock after overstimming himself. I'm wondering if that's from the yellow bar window. And he is immediately taken off the board.
Meanwhile, I'd like to just draw the attention of our viewers to the poll here. And the poll, in contrast to what we're seeing in the game here, is in the favor of Xylem by 1 vote. So that's 60% favoring Xylem and 40% favoring Roaring Tiger. I would like to see if this can take a turn towards the end suddenly. It could, the way it goes, you might see a frag-sided Xylem pull this back, but we'll have to wait and watch to see how this map really plays in favor of Xylem or in favor of Roaring Tigers.
Yeah, and I'm even though Roaring Tigers has 2 people taken off the board so far, I don't think they're in that bad of a situation. They've had 2 quick picks taken off them before, and with the likes of Tetsuya and Adiel Execute, they are able to get those quick picks. But as I say that, it's going to be a 2v4.
The Finka being played very well here is playing in their favor until Oh, but it's still a 2v1, we would say, because the Valkyrie is down. But we still have the Finca on the board here, and one boost left. And that LMG we know is really good. So cancel that. It's a 1v1 actually, effectively, if you look at it here, and that's a Zofia versus the Jaeger.
Yeah,
So
and
that's a top fragger of Roaring Tigers versus, in a way, that of Divine Xylem. So we'll have to see whether, with 1 minute 17 seconds left, if you're going to have the Jaeger having a very tight angle all the way from Skylight ground floor.
yeah, and with the Valkyrie being down, she's giving live intel on where the Zofia is at. This gunfight could go either way, and it looks like that she's rotating out, and they aren't going to have that intel anymore. But it looks like Jaeger knows exactly where she's going to be rotating to. His sights are now on the Zofia from that window, and he has a little bullet peek. And what an angle! He's able to get that small bullet hole in, knowing exactly where that Zofia is going to push.
No, that's a typical
what a
Bolo
shot.
bullet hole peek over here, all the way from the Skylight lobby into the door. So that's a very tight peak. It's really hard to contest, even with an ACOG. So very well played. Even though defense was losing out in numbers, they managed to equalize that. Right, like you said, the Valk was providing some live intel. So definitely defense pulling this off very well, and we're already at match point 6-1 already in favor of Roaring Tigers.
Yeah, and I know it is 6-1, and the attackers of Xylem are they're really doing as much as they can. They are getting those early picks. They are getting that man advantage, but they aren't able to capitalize off of that. And I have to say, they were down to a 2v4 that round, and that Jaeger was able to bring it back. He was able to get, I believe, 3 picks for his team, and him and the Valkyrie, they've really been doing it all. I believe right now he's 18-1, a plus 17 on the map, and that is an impressive scoreline at that. He really, really has been doing it all for his team, and I don't want to discount the rest of his teammates for him. They really have all been playing very well. They've been playing with some pretty decent synergy, but that fragging potential by Idea Execute, I mean, unless you take him off the board early, even if the team does lose maybe 1 or 2 players, he's still able to win it all for his team. The one round they had lost was the one round he had died.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, so this is like, so interestingly, what analyst is saying that there's 4 drones already out of the equation. It's all just on the bad boy, the sledge. And with this push having started, we'll have to see how the pulse being brought in the first time. Maybe they're going for a planned denial over here, so you would like to see how the pulse is going to play out over here. And you also have some bit of shields coming in. You have maybe 1 shield, but it's a strong angle all the way onto luggage.
Yeah, and it's really a good angle to be playing, especially from the Wamai. I'm liking this Jaeger Wamai coming in, especially with the amount of frag grenades that are coming from the attackers. The attackers have frag potential with the Finca, the Sledge, and the Maverick, and I'm assuming they're going to try and get some area denial there. It looks like the attackers are poising to try and get a quick pick. Oh, and the Doc had seen him on the roof.
Oh,
they are just dancing around each other.
Scratch that. We have the Sledge of Bad Boy getting a pick onto the Alibi. So that getting a pick onto Alibi actually effectively removes every single prism of the board, because other than having line of sight blockers, that's not very good. You have a team kill from the Doc onto the Bomai. So I don't know whether that was sort of a mercy kill because of his ping or that was accidental. But we clearly have 1 defender less now. That's 2 defenders less, because you no longer have the alibis. We no longer have the Doc as well. So there's a lot of push coming in from Skylight from the Sledge.
And it looks like the Jaeger is trying to go up for a late round flank. He seems to be playing in CC, and it's gonna be all on the Jaeger 1v5, and we've seen Hadia Execute be able to do a lot, but this does seem like a pretty tall task, especially with his fragging potential. He's got 1 quick pick off on the Maverick, and even with that quick pick on the Maverick, they are able to take him off the board. That is the 2nd round that he has died in, a 2nd round that they have lost.
I'd say the Finca boost here coming in handy very well. I mean, it was a calculated pick, I would say. Maybe they wanted an extra set of frag grenades and they want to engage these guys head on. So Divine Xylem really playing to Coastline's attack strength of being a frag sided map. And in response to that, ideally you would want to bring more traps, but Roaring Tiger seems to be focusing more of an anti-grenade over here.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to be bringing a Vigil instead of the Dock. They saw that the Dock might not have had as much utility as they wanted, and I'm curious if they're actually going to bring the Tachanka. Tachanka's usually 6 pick off, kind of a cheeky move for some defenders play, and no, he seems to be confirming that pick. Oh nope, as I had said that, he is going to go for the area denial with smoke. And I have to say that Divine Xylem really has been playing a Latin America style attack. They are bringing more LMGs, they're bringing more frag grenade potential. You don't typically see that Finca pick in a lot of the North America or EU regions, but you do see her played quite a bit in that Latin America. And I got to give it up to the attack. The attack did go for some early picks. The defenders were really not expecting them to push where the defenders were pushing, and they were able to capitalize off it. And as much as Jaeger has done this round, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that late round flank. He didn't set him up into the best position for the 1v5. And the attackers, as soon as he had gotten that pick off of Cool Vibes stairs, they were able to collapse in on him. And I'm looking forward to see how they're going to change up their strategy this time around. I'm liking the pick from Smoke. I'm liking that new area denial. I'm liking the not having that aggressive pick as having the Dock going for the spawn peaks. And I'm interested to see how they bring it back. They do have the Valkyrie without that IQ, and we are seeing a little bit slower of a round. It looks like the Valkyrie is playing downstairs, looking to maybe have a run out, and it looks like the attackers are trying to get another quick pick off of the Skylight, which I remember you had said is one of the keys that the attackers want to do in order to get those quick picks early on, especially on that hookah defense.
Oh, I did not notice this, by the way. That's a suppressed LMG we're getting here. So while we're at it, the Vigil gets an early pick onto Zofia. So that's a fair bit of utility taken out, mainly because in this round, you not only have 11 anti-grenades from the Wamai and the Jaeger, you also have 2 shields. So, is this going to be something here? Oh, that was close. Oh, but no. Unfortunately, the smoke doesn't get it. He does get 1 Blackbeard shield, so that might be some relief.
Not able to control the recoil well enough for that one, and a quick pick comes off. That is unknown error off the board, but the Vigil with a quick second pick off the Blackbeard. Now it is all on their frag grenade potential in order to take control of this round. But with the amount of utility the attackers have right now, they're able to really prevent the use of a lot of those frag grenades. They won't be able to have that effect that they would have prior.
And somebody really needs to clear out the Vigil having a angle from luggage, because he's already claimed 2 kills from it. And we already have Ida, the top fragger, getting a kill onto Sledge, so that's vertical. I mean, there's not much vertical play that Sledge would bring onto Hookah, but that's definitely 2 frag grenades out there. And
absolutely.
We already have the push denial coming here from the smokes.
Yeah, and it's looking like it's not looking great for the attack. It looks like right now they don't know what necessarily they want to do. They're really trying to get this hookah control, but there are 3 different angles the attackers can push from. Some health being taken off that Vigil, but a really late round flank coming up from Nano will secure the round with both the attackers playing on that hookah balcony. That is game.
So Roaring Tigers closing off the round there, getting a decisive 7-2 win, asserting dominance for majority of the game, a sizable majority of the game, and taking the win. Ida doing a great job. What wonderful fragging potential that we've seen from Ida here, going 20-2 in the early stages of the tournament. Really taking DC, sending DC back home, probably crying, I wouldn't know. But I guess that's a clear win for RT.
Yeah, IDXQ really did it all for his team that round. I mean, he went 20-2. We're hearing all the good games coming in right now. And I really gotta give it up for IDXQ. And I mean, Nano's late round flank there really did secure the win for his team, and I believe it was and that Vigil that last round was able to get those quick picks, able to stop the push from Aquarium and make the attackers uncomfortable, and it really forced them into try and get that hookah push. And I don't think the attackers necessarily knew what they wanted to do. And I really gotta commend. I'm really looking forward to this Roaring Tigers Tilt Esports match, because I think these two teams are very evenly matched. The way that Roaring Tigers was able to really frag out on attack will really play in well to Tilt Esports' very structured defense. And I'm really excited that we got to see Coastline today. We got to see a lot of very different play styles that really made for an exciting match. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today for this match of Roaring Tigers and Divine Xylem. This is going to be the second match in our group at Division B standings. We will be having a Division B game being played tomorrow again at 10 p.m. and a Division A game being played at 8 a.m. Forge, I don't know if you have anything you want to say to close this out.
Just that, I guess you closed it off well. There's not much to add on here. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Hope to see you all tomorrow for another exciting set of games. So that's good night and goodbye from all of us here. We ready to close then, Lolo?
You've been told, don't blink, don't run, don't turn left or turn right or look straight at the sun. My mind's going in circles, I'm trying to fight it, getting these voices inside to stay quiet. Gone to the place where all this began, just start again. Oh, you won't see the light until the dawn breaks. No, till it's all said and done, you won't know what it takes. Gotta make a wrong turn and turn around. Gotta fall fast to pick yourself up off the ground. Until you get lost, you'll never be found. And you can't start again until you break down. Break down. Until you break down. They said, be meek, look beneath the bed before you go to sleep. Keep on, I shine. Will surely get burned if you reach out and touch. My mind is a battle, I'm trying to hide it. Getting these voices inside to stay quiet. Gone to the place where all this began. Just start again. Won't see the light until the dawn breaks. No, till it's all said and done, you won't know what it takes. Gotta make a wrong turn and turn around. Gotta fall fast to pick yourself up off the ground. Until you get lost, you'll never be found. And you can't kid, you're clean cuts. I'm wide-eyed, your eyes are shut. If I'm knocked out, we'll go the distance. Pound for pound, we're a perfect match. Pulling punches, or toe-to-toe, we're always on the road. Worse or better, we can't stop, we can't stop. 'Cause together we're better off. And we can't. And we can't. And we can't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And I've been chillin', watching the ocean with you. Baby, up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our growlings when people change, but not us. And we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the moss soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding me up. Play me like a bass guitar, simmer down and mash me up. Tripping like I'm Jimmy at Woodstock. Me up, drum me round and go right for it. Shivers down my spinal cord. Oh, 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 oh. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. So cliche, I see the sparks you throw my way. I know your name is written on everyone's mind. Your whole show is captivating me, but don't think that I can see right through that disguise. But when you got close to me, you had me falling so hard, baby, hard, baby. Yeah, now I get it. You got heads turning, and you don't even try. Well, would you look at that? My glass is empty, glass empty. How about I get another drink, baby, drink, baby? Okay, I get it. You got fire burning, right there in your eyes. But when you got this whole thing, I like the way you look at me. How about we just go with the flow? Now you know I feel it too. But I don't think this could be something that becomes